spoken. I do think there's some comfort there, to your point, York, that the council experience will be there for Lucas as mayor. And Nicole, of course, does have experience in terms of some of the work that she's presenting in her platform. Very strong in social causes, many other things. She herself spoke openly about her recovery in the studio, which I thought was an absolutely glorious thing for someone in politics to do, to stand in her courage and her faith of we can live a better life. And so to have a new deputy mayor here in the town of Cobourg, again, Suzanne Seguin has done some remarkable things. She was deeply supportive, I will say, as a former director of the film festival here. She was right there. She was shaking hands. She was delighted. She was a huge support with the grants, etc. But the town has voted for change both at the mayor and deputy mayor level.
And also the point being that the two new members that are on both have had extensive experience. A lot of experience. So it's the only person on the council who is not have any municipal experience. In fact, is the new mayor.
The new mayor himself. Well, I mean, if you're going to be prepared with a council around you that has experience, you could ask for a better zone.
He's going to come in with a fresh face, fresh ideas, and he's going to have to say, okay, tell me now, what's it all about?
So who does he ask then? Let me ask you this: as a first time mayor coming in, again, no experience. What happens to him now? Like, where does he go to? Is there training? Is there some sort of guidance when you officially take office?
Yes, there is training for new, mainly just for councillors, but that's put on by the Ontario Municipal Association,
right?
And so that's offered, and it's very valuable. I think Lucas Cleveland will have to reach out to people like Gil Brockenier. You have to reach out to people like even John to say, explain to me the process. And I think John is a generous guy, and will say, here are some of the files that you're going to have to deal with that are critical.
I am sure John will have everything very organized to
Yes,
pass along to
yes,
Lucas
I
of
think he
all
will
the
too.
ongoing projects.
We've
that
seen
are
his
going on in
office.
the
We
town.
can say that's a fair bet. 100%.
Absolutely.
And the last thing he's going to, not the last, but the other part that he will have to rely on heavily for the first 6 months or so is how strong the senior administration is. Those people who have their finger on right on what's going on.
We do have some Trent Hill numbers coming as well, folks.
Well, that's not a big
surprise.
That's not a big surprise.
No.
$24.99 to $15.29 for Susan.
Yes.
And not surprised though. Tell me more about that.
I'm not sure. Well, I think Bob Crate has done an excellent job. He came in after Het McMillan, who was just a very, very popular mayor in Trent Hills. And he come in and he has the same sort of strong personality. He's fought very hard for Trent Hills as far as the hospital. I mean, that's a big battle, but he's willing to take.
Sorry to interrupt, but we have our deputy mayor, Michael Metcalf, our incumbent at $23.45 compared to Bill Reid at $15.82.
Yes, wow,
so
that's another one.
Yes, so two incumbents for the mayor and deputy mayor in Trent Hills.
I think, Bob Crate is a person who, the recreational center, that's near and dear to his heart. So he's really going to get that going, and I think
Very
that's I can see why they're popular. He's a mayor that has a vision. He's had a vision.
Okay.
Oh, Gene
Brownie, incumbent at 240 compared to Emma Walker at 223. So barely by 17 votes.
Yes.
In that region. Interesting.
They represent. I think they're the ones that represent Hastings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's now.
Gene's been around a long time. Yes.
Wow. Wonderful. Well, it's been interesting so far. I mean, Port Hope, I think, was, if I'm not mistaken, the first report in. And we have the great pleasure of Andrew joining us, who's just stepped in from Port Hope, boots on the ground, and wow, talk about an interesting development in Port Hope.
Wow.
Andrew.
Yes.
Welcome.
Bit of a surprise, thank you.
Bit of a surprise.
Bit of a surprise. I got to tell you, the experience at the Capitol Theater was a little surreal. Complete silence when the results were posted.
Is that right?
Complete silence. And there was a lot of people there, maybe half full at the theater, and just to hear nothing when the results were shown was interesting. But I mean, it's to be expected, I suppose. You get a lot of people there that put a lot of time and effort into their campaigns, and so many candidates.
Yes.
Right.
That there's a lot of people there with high expectations, and that just didn't see it come to fruition.
Well, and we've talked about Jeff Lee's 25 years sitting in the seat of council. That's a lot of experience to say no to. Elena, we thought, brought some very interesting forward-thinking policies and ideas to the table. Her work at the one-on-one interviews here at Your TV and the debate, she was right there with the best of them. And do you think that is part of it, that there's 2 incumbent council members that did not get in? Do you think some of that support was there for them in the room, but the actual vote went to Elena?
There was absolutely support in the room for those councillors. And, it was sort of interesting, though, to interview several of the councillors after the results, the newly elected councillors, actually, and they all seemed very excited at the prospect of working with Elena. So
Right.
I think that you're going to see an interesting chemistry there, because I see a lot of enthusiasm. Those people who were successful in their campaigns were very excited about working as a team together. So I think we'll see some good things in Port Hope.
Well, we're super, super grateful that you were there on the ground. Andrew, thank you for being here in the studio, but we also have some great material from you with Les Andrews, I believe, over at Port Hope. We have an interview clip that we'd like to share with our viewers as well. Thank you.
It's Andrew Hall back for Your TV. I'm here with Les Andrews. Les has been a councillor in Port Hope now for a while, deputy mayor in the last term, and I wanted to ask him a couple of questions after the election results. Les, the results are out. We have a new mayor coming in. Elena has won this time, and that's kind of exciting. Were you surprised by that result?
Well, if somebody asked me who was going to win, I had no clue. I mean, it was such a horse race right down at the end. Olena's going to be a very, very effective leader, so I'm very pleased from that point of view.
How do you feel about your own campaign? Did you feel it was strong? How did you feel about the competition?
Well, the competition outcomped me on social media, and that's clearly the way to go in the future. I know that Claire and Todd were quite prominent on social media, Adam somewhat, and I sort of went the old traditional route of signage, brochures, and a little bit more social media. But that's I guess that's the way of the future.
What do you see as priority in terms of this council coming in and continuing the legacy of Mayor Sanderson?
Well, we do. We have to get back on track with Wesleyville and figure out how we're going to work with the province on that, because that's going to be the area for growth for the next 50 years for Port Hope. We can't depend on another large subdivision coming into urban Port Hope. We just don't have the room. So we're either going to go up or intensify the population in the space we have, or we have to expand out to Wesleyville. We don't want to touch the agricultural land. Of course, that's the big one.
Great. I'm wondering, it was pretty quiet in the theater when the results were announced. Any big surprises that you noticed?
Yeah, I think there was some surprises and there was some shock, and I can understand it. You know, the results were supposed to be announced at 8:30, and there was a build up and there was tension, and yeah, it would be a little bit of a disappointment to some of the candidates. They worked hard, and you know, everybody I guess deserved to win, but the voters voted, and this is the way it is. And I think we have a pretty solid council. So I'll be happy to work with them.
Great. That's good to hear. Any aspirations for the deputy mayorship again?
Well, I've done it once. If the other councillors feel that I have the strength to do it again, I'd be happy to do it. And as I say, we'll see what happens.
Thanks so much, Les. Appreciate your time tonight, and congratulations once more.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
See you again.
Take care. Andrew reporting from the Capitol Theatre.
Really nice work. Yes.
Interesting. He when you asked him, well, what are the issues, and Les said, Wesleyville.
Getting Wesleyville back on track
That's
is
something,
huge.
eh? And, I don't know whether it was mentioned, Mark, when you were interviewing these people about Wesleyville.
Absolutely.
But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking to myself, there's got to be a bit of anger about losing that one. They was right there in their pocket, and they could see the development that was possible, and suddenly it's gone. And Les Andrews, a great business person, I'm sure he realizes the potential that slipped through their hands.
And how
Or
beautiful
got stolen away out of their hands.
Fair, yeah. And the
well,
candidates, they spoke very openly about it in terms of support and regrouping, et cetera. But you're right, there's some energy that still lingers from that decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly feel a sense from Les that the rug was pulled out from underneath them.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot of regret, I think. So it's nice to hear that he's still got that fire and ambition, and he wants to see some leadership in that regard. So hopefully he'll bring that to the table.
Thank you, Andrew. Great work out there. And I think we have an interview with Holloway as well that we're going to share with our viewers as well. So another clip to share in a moment here.
Andrew Hall here for Your TV. I'm here with the newly elected councillor, Claire Holloway-Woodwani. Claire, congratulations on a well-run campaign. You must be very excited.
I'm very excited. My heart's pounding out of my chest, actually. No, feels great.
Good. Congratulations. Tell me about your campaign. Tell me about what you found the most challenging and what you feel is the most rewarding at this point.
Ooh, that's a good question. So I'm a mom, a working mom of 3 kids who are still quite young. So I would say the most challenging thing for me was trying to figure out how to balance my work life, my family life, and still run an effective campaign, right? And get out there enough to connect with neighbors. So ran a long campaign. So my strategy was get out early so that I can meet people over an extended period of time. And it seems to have panned out. So
do you think that was the secret to your success, or did you have a secret weapon?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm blown away by the support that I got. And I don't know. I genuinely enjoy meeting people and talking to people. I'd say maybe putting my face on the sign was helpful. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. So
that's okay. That's fine. I mean, you got a good smile, so that's great. I'm wondering if how you're feeling about the new councillors and how this council is shaping up. I mean, you've seen the results and there's some surprises there. How do you feel about it overall?
I feel really excited and energized. I think this is going to be a great team. When I saw the results come in and who was successful, I mean, it was a great slate of candidates anyway, but I think this is a really good team. I'm really excited about what we're going to get done.
What are your priorities going into the new term?
Yeah, so for me, one of the things I talked about a lot on this campaign was how we work together as a community. So that's something that I really want to champion from day one, is more consultation, more openness, and more working with community members to get things done, as opposed to working in isolation at town hall. So that's kind of the main thing I'm going to start with. But for me, I also really want to be a voice for families. There's not been anyone at the table for a while who's raising kids in the community. So that's a gap that I'm hoping to fill as well.
Very good. Thanks so much, Claire. And again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And we have the great pleasure of welcoming our new mayor of the town of Cobourg. Lucas Cleveland is joining us in studio. Lucas, thank you for joining us and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you here. Of course, Ryan Delaney and York Bell-Smith are here in the studio. We want to ask you, just generally speaking, of course, the obvious answer, how do you feel?
Unbelievably humbled right now. The reality is I don't think the reality is actually set in.
Of course.
I was up there with my family. I was up there with Montana, a bunch of the teammates at the market, and my very small but humble campaign team. And it's a close race, and 105 votes isn't much of a victory, but it's a victory nonetheless. And we're just really excited about what we have ahead of us.
Well, you've run a hell of a campaign, and we're delighted to have you with us to share with our viewers just some of the initial emotion and feeling. And York, you stand by municipal matters. You've done a lot of work in the politics here. I'd love to ask you to ask a few questions of Lucas.
I'm really intrigued as to, you take a look at the councillors that have been elected, as Peter had alluded to just before bringing you on. There's some experience there. There's some young experience from the town of Cobourg, and then there's some old experience from the town of Cobourg with Miriam coming back, and then Randy. Your thoughts, and Nicole new as well in the deputy mayor position. That's a real change. Yep. What are your thoughts right now? Your first thoughts getting your feet wet when you take over?
I'm super excited. I think it's going to be really handy to have such a experienced council, especially as we get into the budget season ahead of us. We have a lot of work ahead. Right off, I think it's November 15th is the swear-in. And basically from that moment forward, we're going to be full on into the budget. And so to have that kind of experience, have Miriam, have Randy Barber, who've done this before, to sort of guide and help out as we move forward through it, it's going to be unbelievable. I'm also really, really excited to sort of tap into the experience of Brian Darling. He's got his 3rd term ahead of him now. So, I mean, someone who's sat now, this will be his 8th, 9th, and 10th, all the way to 12th year. This is the kind of people we need on council to help out and to work with.
Right. Now, talk to us a little bit about working with Adam Bureau, downtown business owner. He went from the fewest votes for councillor last time around to the most this time around. Talk to us a little bit about his campaign.
I don't think I need to speak for Adam. Adam does a great job connecting with people, whether you're new to Cobourg or a long-term Cobourg resident. You'll always see Adam outside the shop. You always see him downtown. You always see him out and about. So Adam is definitely a very vocal and visible face in the downtown core. I know him and I have a lot of similar goals in terms of how we're going to revitalize the downtown, and I look forward to spending the next 4 years working alongside him to sort of really make those come to fruition.
It's a huge task with the two of you on it. I mean, there's a certain level of confidence there.
Very great to hear. Thank you for that, York. And I can't help but notice we have two mayors sitting here in the studio at the table.
There you go.
So Ryan Delante, of course, has
Peter Delante.
Sorry, I beg your pardon, Peter Delante. The fact that we've had this opportunity to have Peter with us to speak from the position of I've done this job as mayor, to speak to the candidates, to speak to the election, to speak to the campaigns. Peter, what are your thoughts with Lucas sitting next to you?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you, Lucas, coming in and with no council experience or anything like that, but saying, I want to be a leader. I think there's a chance for change. And it worked for you. You obviously, you and your team worked very, very hard. I'm interested, I don't know how much time you've been able to give to this, but the first sort of 6 months are going to be critically important for you. And I wonder what kind of steps you're sort of thinking, here's what I'm going to do to see if I can get council thinking about a new approach. And what is your new approach sort of thing?
I think I would take a step back before I even think about what the council and I are going to do. I think the first thing I need to do is address the community as a whole.
Yes.
I only won by 105 votes. That means half of this community, straight down the middle, thought that John Henderson was going to be a better leader.
Yes.
And so my first job before I do anything is to connect with that half of the community. My first job is to make sure that the people who didn't vote for me, that they decided to vote for John for a different reason. And I need to understand that reason. And I have to make sure that I start addressing that reason as leadership. Because there's no point in working with council if I don't have the community behind us. And my first job in the next 4, 5, 6 months, and hopefully throughout my 4 years, is to be the kind of mayor who is accountable to the voters, who's accountable to the people. And I think the first 6 months is my opportunity to show that my actions are going to match the words that I spoke throughout the campaign.
I'm sure one of the things you're probably thinking you do, maybe he'll say, no, I'm not thinking about doing that at all, but you'll probably want to have a workshop with the councillors and say, let's strategize. What are your priorities, and are there some common grounds here where we can grow? That'll be an interesting session. If I could be a little
Fly on the wall.
I'd be very interested. Because a lot of the things that happen later on in council grow out of those first couple of days when you get away from everybody and you go and you have the workshop and you do your planning and you hear what are the councillors' priorities and you're thinking, yes, I have that priority too. Let's talk about that some more.
Fair enough. I actually am really fortunate that I got some really good advice early on in my campaign. And what they said is to do that before. So I've actually had an opportunity to sit with almost every single councillor during this election campaign. Like even the ones that weren't voted in, like Ashley Bowman, I sat with her. Sarah Gardner, we chatted for a couple hours because their complaints, their concerns, their ideas prompted them to put themselves up for election. So clearly they have something to say and they clearly represent a whole segment of our community. So I think part of the reason maybe my campaign did resonate with so much of Cobourg is because my campaign altered throughout the course of it as I met each one of these councillors. And so what I did is, I've said from the beginning, I'm learning, I'm a continual education, I want to be a lifelong student. And so as I was learning about all of these different councillors throughout the campaign, it really affected my message because they taught me what was important. And so as I'm going into it, I think I've got a bit of a leg up on that because a lot of the people who a lot of my campaign and a lot of the things that matter to me have mattered to me because of the people I've spoken to throughout the campaign.
Interesting.
Wow, very good.
What a great opportunity. Former mayor, current mayor, sharing ideas at the table here at your TV.
Future mayor?
Well, I don't know if we're going there yet, brother. Let's let Lucas in there and see what he does. But I would say this with the greatest respect. Your thoughts on John Henderson. The campaign was the campaign. You had a debate here side by side and offered thoughts. I'm just curious, Lucas, if you have any thoughts to share.
Of course I do. I mean, I want to get right out in front and say, not only do I, but this entire community owes John Henderson a world of thanks. Donna, his three children, we owe thank you to them because for the last 12 years, they've lent us their partner and their father to serve this community. The job of mayor is a 24/7 days, as I'm sure you're well aware. And talking with John throughout this campaign, seeing how hard he was working not only as the mayor, but also in getting himself reelected. I mean, I had respect for the man before. After running against him, the respect is unprecedented. And so this community as Cobourg is better off because of John's service. John successfully and skillfully led this community through a global pandemic. He did an exceptional job at that. And there is no one here that is going to fault John for the job he did. All I did is I ran a campaign that was different. It was one of change. It was one of doing things differently than the way they've been done. And I was very clear through the campaign to never speak disparaging of John, because anyone who steps up to serve their community as faithfully and as willfully and with such dedication for 12 years does not deserve to be ever spoken ill of, because there's no reason to do that. Wow. And so from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to say thank you to John Henderson. Thank you to John Henderson's family for the service you've provided. I hope that I can continue along the same lines of service as he's shown.
Beautifully said, and a wonderful moment.
Well said. Well
Absolutely.
Well said.
I do want to share one thing, having danced with you in the studio a few times in terms of your thoughts, your campaign, your issues that you wanted to bring forward. Lucas, the idea that you had said originally your intent was to back other people to run for the position of mayor up against John Henderson. And when that didn't come through, a beautiful, heartfelt moment in the family where the energy clearly faced you and said, this is your time. How do you feel now?
I am blown away. I owe my parents, my sister, my extended family at the market, and most importantly, my partner, Montana, a huge thank you. This run, this possibility, and now this opportunity I have ahead of me for the next 4 years is only possible because of the people in my family and because of the people at the market and this small but very select group of 3 individuals who made up my entire campaign team. And so we were small but mighty, and we were slim, but we accomplished a lot. And so in terms of my family and in terms of my community, this is as much a win for them as it is for me. In fact, I think it's more of a win for them because I wouldn't have been here to even put my name forward if it wasn't for their hard work and service over the last 3 weeks to make it even possible.
I think we see great values, Lucas, and what you're hoping to bring to the table as mayor of the town of Cobourg. We thank you for your time. We look forward to the great work you're going to do with the next 4 years.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to sit with you.
Exciting times. Exciting times. Congratulations.
And it's my understanding, I believe we may have Nicole Beattie, our new deputy mayor, in the studio as well. So, Lucas, we want to thank you for your time. We look forward to the great work, and we'll see you, I'm sure, many times over from the studio and many interviews to come. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate all the best. Cheers. And we welcome with great respect the Honorable Deputy Mayor Nicole Beattie. Thank you for joining us.
Wow, fantastic, eh?
Former Mayor Delante.
Absolutely, absolutely. We want to offer a moment of just exhale, Nicole, and the work that you've done to say thank you for and your campaign. You've been in the studio numerous times to share with the audience here your thoughts, your ideas, your mission, and here the town has stood up and said, we believe in Nicole. We'd like her to take the seat of Deputy Mayor. How do you feel?
Mark, I think you articulated it so eloquently. Cobourg, thank you for believing in me. I love this town, as I know you can all attest to, and thank you for choosing Cobourg to be your home. But I'm eternally grateful. There's nothing I wouldn't do for Cobourg, and can't think of a better way to serve the community. So Cobourg, thank you for believing in me.
Wonderful. Well, an excellent campaign, very vibrant, your social media, your interactivity with the community. I saw many of your posts, and we do want to always take a moment because we have our incumbent Deputy Mayor, Suzanne Seguin, who has been working very hard in the town of Cobourg, supported many efforts here. Your thoughts on Suzanne as you take the new position of Deputy Mayor?
Yes, I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor Seguin for her years of service to both Prescott and Cobourg. And I know Suzanne will continue to be involved in Cobourg. You know, she's an active community member, and her leadership on council. You know, she ran an excellent campaign, and you know, she gave me a good run for it, made me work very hard, and ran a multimedia strategy. But I really do thank Suzanne for her ongoing service, and I know that she'll continue to serve Cobourg in many great capacities.
Wonderful. Same as we did for Lucas, you have an opportunity here with Peter Delanty, our former mayor, sitting next to you in studio. That Peter has been a great force here at our show tonight to talk about history and vision and what it means to be a mayor in town. When it comes to working in unison with the council, your thoughts, because Peter has shared a lot about the structure of council in Cobourg and how it means to be mayor and deputy mayor. We know your hands are very much on the budget. There's some very key issues that taxpayers feel for. What are your thoughts on the council coming in with you, Lucas as mayor, and how that energy will move forward?
I think there's always an opportunity when there's new energy. I think we have enough of returning councillors to honor the work that has been done over the last few terms of council, and enough and exciting new perspectives that will help us continue to build and bring progress and fresh vision and perspectives to council. I campaigned on a team approach to governance and collaborative leadership. It's how I lead as a community member, and I believe my track record as a councillor shows that. So I really do look forward to sitting down with Lucas and the 5 newly elected councillors and jumping into the next term.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicole. I'm going to step aside. Certainly, Peter, with a wealth of experience in York, Municipal Matters host and long-running ally at Cocho and York TV. Your thoughts for Nicole tonight?
Well, first of all, congratulations, Nicole. Yeah. You ran a wonderful campaign, and I do congratulate you. It's interesting, the new council, even with the 2 new members, we've talked about this before, they both have a lot of municipal experience. Randy Barber in Markham, and Miriam Mouton certainly has experience in Cobourg Council. The only one who doesn't have any experience, of course, is the mayor, the new mayor. So that'll be an interesting experience for the councillors as they break in the new mayor. I'm sure you'll do a great job. One of the issues that I think I'd like to hear where you're at with it is I think the Cobourg and Northumberland County, for that matter, is going to experience some tremendous growth over the next little while. Places like Mississauga and Halton, that they're full, and so they're moving here. And so I think the impact on Cobourg is going to be significant, and on Port Hope for that matter. I don't know whether you've had a chance to sort of think and reflect on that, because I think you're going to be the first council that's going to be faced with that new impact. What's your vision of how you'd like to see Cobourg grow, and I think it'll grow rapidly, right?
I think Cobourg is already growing, and which is why I appreciate that this current outgoing term of council, we made resources in infrastructure planning and long range planning, which I believe are some talents that we were missing from the staff roster. And so having that expertise to help us navigate this next era of growth. I campaigned on, and as the planning coordinator, I was very firm on, we want to embrace growth, but we don't want to lose our small town charm or our heritage identity. What I was really excited about, all of those running, we talked about in unison about responsible growth. And this term of council and the public and staff have the opportunity, we'll be reviewing our official plan. We have a comprehensive zoning bylaw that will come into effect. We have exciting new initiatives that'll be coming forward through the integrated community sustainability plan, and specifically the green development standards. So not only, and we have our heritage bylaws in place. So I think that Cobourg has the right tools in its toolbox. Now it's for this term of council to maybe update those tools so that we are responding and getting in front of that growth and being good stewards of Coburg while continuing to evolve.
I think if I may, Mark, ask another question along the same line. Just recently, the provincial government has passed, is saying they're going to put in 2 pieces of legislation, which I think will affect Coburg, and just on just what you just said and talked about. And one is that if a municipality will get a developer to develop social housing, for instance, he'll waive development fees. Which is all fine and dandy, but then who's going to pick up the cost of development fees? It's downloading on the municipalities. But the other part was he just came forward and said, I would be prepared in the municipalities. I'd say we'll waive the zoning in certain areas so that if someone wanted to develop a social housing in a certain area that had zoning was restrictive, those 2 are coming down. So I think, well, I guess the point I'm getting at, Nicole, is as you as the deputy mayor, second in command, when these legislations come down, that's going to have a real impact on Coburg. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether you've had a chance, because you've been campaigning so hard, how that's going to impact Coburg.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's a really good observation, Peter. You're correct. I haven't had a lot of time to digest that, and obviously we always want to sit down with MPP Piccini, but we also want staff to do the analysis, just like they did with the delegation of authority and some of the impacts that came through with Bill 109 that took effect as of July 1st, and we're going to see the next round of that new bill come out in January 1st. Coburg, to some extent, is already doing deferral of certain fees and taxes through our CIP. When we say planning plan, growth pays for growth, and then if we're starting to download to the municipalities, my biggest concern is our taxpayers paying for that. So I would really like to see municipal summits working with the province and understanding how this new legislation, because I'm all for, anything that can activate mixed use housing. And by mixed use housing, I'm meaning market rent and affordable housing. In fact, all new developments ideally would address that so that we can get to this, especially in Northumberland County, we have to get, a 10-year wait list. So we have to build 90 units a year for the next 10 years just to address that. So anything that we can do, in my opinion, to stimulate the residential typologies we need for the community. However, safeguarding our tax base, and I appreciate the province moving in the direction in housing, but downloading it to the municipalities, I don't think is fair.
Interesting.
Good. Yeah, maybe I was unfair to ask you that question. It's interesting how you answered. I guess I agree with you 100% on it.
Oh, yes.
Anyways, congratulations.
Absolutely, Nicole. And I will say, I know you'll have great opportunity to work with municipal matters to speak with Deputy Mayor Nicole Beattie, because we also have Adam Bureau that's joining us. So Nicole, we want to say once again, thank you. Great light, great good fortune moving forward as our Deputy Mayor here in the town of Coburg, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all that you do for the storytelling and covering the elections. It's great production. So thank you to you and the volunteers.
Thank you again. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Nicole. All the best. Get some rest. And as I said, as the council has been reelected, not reelected, that's stepping a step ahead of time. Adam Bureau, our council member, joins us here in studio at Your TV. We want to say first and foremost, of course, I'll say nice to meet you, Adam.
Nice to meet you too.
Very grateful to have you in studio. A heck of a night here on election night, and congratulations on your reelection.
Oh, thank you very much.
How do you feel?
Pretty excited, I'll tell you that.
I can imagine.
I didn't think it would be the way it happened, but definitely excited.
Wonderful. I'm going to step aside in a moment, let York take the lead here with Adam.
Certainly given a clear mandate this time around, last time, right? You know, and this one, I mean, overwhelmingly, how does it feel? How does it feel to know what you've done over the last 4 years was responded by the citizens of Coburg through the pandemic and everything?
Well, I don't know if I can sum this up pretty quickly, but my whole focus was to bring council to the public. A lot of people didn't understand or who was even on council. And so I thought if I did get elected the first time, then my goal was to bring that news to council, whatever we're doing. Then the pandemic hit. So I thought, well, how can I possibly help the businesses and citizens going on? So it was through Zoom videos, through my social media, through everything, to make sure that everybody got through that as the best they could. And especially through all the province's rules, which were pretty unclear at sometimes, to help navigate that through so that we could succeed. And to be honest, I think the downtown is, business-wise, is the best it's ever been. I mean, Division Street's full, downtown's full, and it's hustling and bustling, and I'm pretty proud of that, for sure.
So where do you go from here? What is your goals for the next 4 years?
Honestly, I think we have to look after our infrastructure. We have so much fixing that we have to do with the harbor, the pier, Monk's Cove. With all the new developments, we're going to need more police officers. We're going to need more fire department. So many different things that we have to look after these next 4 years in order to move forward.
Excellent. Peter, an opportunity for you to speak.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
Going
you.
from just barely getting in the last time to heading the polls, that's pretty significant. That's quite an accomplishment. Obviously, people said Adam's doing a great job, so congratulations. By heading the polls, of course, I don't know whether the tradition still stands, but it certainly was a tradition that when you met, councillors had an opportunity to choose which portfolio they wanted. I'm kind of interested, do you have in mind a portfolio you would like, planning or public works? Or?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Planning is not my strong forte, but I would really like to work with the police department and protection services. And if not that, then maybe Parks and Rec. And go from there.
Well, good for you. I mean, I think planning is the heart and soul of the municipality. Without it, you might as well close the doors. But if you recognize that's not my forte, and the other ones, I think good for you.
I've learned a lot about planning over these last 4 years. What's going on? My goodness, there's another one and another one and another one. So
I think I'm really impressed that the people of Cobourg have watched you and said, what a great job you're doing. And you've headed the polls, and you're going in with a council that's got a new mayor with no experience. So they'll be depending on you, Adam. Give them some guidance.
No pressure.
Absolutely.
And actually, I've mentioned this before, but the two new members, of course, Miriam Mouton and Randy Barber, both have immense municipal experience already. So there'll be new faces, new ideas. But there's a lot of experience there. And,
that's true. Randy is, I've talked to him many times over this campaign, and he's very knowledgeable and knows what he's talking about. Miriam, same thing. She knows a lot about this town. So, but what I found over these last 4 years on council is, even though we're somewhat of a board or a team, we're all individual. And we all bring our own ideas and our own debates to Cobourg or to the council. And I think that's pretty important when you have 7 different ideas that are all coming and we could talk about them to come up with the best solution. So to me, I think I welcome the new members and the new mayor and the new deputy mayor. And I think it'll be an interesting 4 years.
That's great.
It's going to be exciting for sure.
Adam, we're so thrilled for this new opportunity for you, another 4 years and in a bigger capacity, I would say. Curious, given you have had time at council, you've done the great work in the town of Cobourg that you've done, your perspective, which would be more educated and higher insight, I would think, than ours, on the numbers for the mayor election and the numbers for the deputy mayor election.
Well, to be honest, I didn't really look at that.
Fair enough. We'll bring them up. I'll share this, that it was a fairly tight race and a very close, narrow margin between John Henderson and Lucas Cleveland. Would love to hear your thoughts of working with John over the years, and a note to him as well. But
first off, I want to thank John Henderson so much. Like, when I was back as the chair of the special events for the DBIA, I think back in 2015, he really took me under his wing and showed me how council works, how boards work, all that. And it's a lot of training. And I really want to give a big heart felt thank you to John for that and all the work that he served in Coburg. I mean, how many terms did he do? 3? Like, I mean, that's amazing.
It is a long run,
So,
absolutely. And
yeah.
Lucas echoed your thoughts, actually. Gave great
Yeah.
respect. We do have the numbers here for our deputy mayor. So 3,817 for Nicole, 2,751 for Suzanne, who has done some great work in the town of Coburg.
Yeah.
And of course, mayor's number here. So very, very, as you see, very narrow margin.
Yeah.
Lucas Cleveland up front, John Henderson just in second position here. And your thoughts on a tight race, I would say, and how that landed?
Well, I think Coburg spoken, to be honest. It was really close for the mayor race. And I think that that Lucas did really a good campaign. Like he was out there every day, all day. Like I would say probably close to 12 hours a day campaigning. And he got his name out and good recognition. So evidently he worked harder and did the best he could and made it.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Adam. We're so thrilled you could join us tonight, just to share the energy of what's happened tonight on election night, and a very, very good journey forward for the next 4 years as councillor here in town of Coburg.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thanks for being with us. I know York and Peter will carry on a little bit with a bit more roundtable discussion, but just want to thank you for the time of coming in, Adam.
It's been my pleasure.
We look forward to what you do.
Congratulations.
Hopefully it's a smoother
Good
4
luck.
years.
That's it.
Thank you. Yes.
Adam, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Okay,
Good to see you.
take
Thank
care.
you. Gentlemen, so on that note, it's been a heck of an evening.
It sure has.
sure
It
has.
surprises across
So
the board,
exactly.
right? Like, wow.
With
It's
a lot
not
of
but a-
surprises in the 2 largest municipalities in Northumberland.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
big surprises, eh? Oh,
Yeah.
man, I must say, in the town of Coburg, that really is a surprise. And I guess when I looked at the deputy mayor, I mean, that was a big spread.
That's a huge margin.
And I must say, I thought it was going to be close. I never imagined that Nicole would win that kind of a margin.
Yeah.
I think Suzanne had a lot of support in the community too.
Very much.
And for the mayor, obviously people were divided, like between John Henderson. Yes, he's done a good job, but this new mayor, this new person, this Lucas Cleveland's coming in, and he seems to have fresh ideas in that. And so there was that torn between, we know who John Henderson is, and he's done a good job of managing the town and making that choice, saying, boy, the race was so close.
Well said. Well said.
Two things really impressed me when we were chatting with Lucas, and that was the way he talked about listening to the other candidates,
100%.
the other councillors, and what their concerns were.
Yes.
First
And
thing.
such very, very, very important.
Wasn't that important, eh?
And how he said the first thing that he needs to do is now reach out to those that didn't vote for him.
100%.
Why doesn't every politician? Well, he's not a politician, really.
Yeah, this could
Why
be
doesn't
it.
why do politicians do this?
That's a great
You
point.
know what? Why not, instead of making promises, say, I'll try to do this?
Yeah, I think connecting is part of his energy, and he was the one who said in some of our earlier interviews before the election, getting people on the bus, and I think that's a hand being reached over to say, I realize that you chose John Henderson, I'm in the seat, but I want to work with you, work for you, and so
He strikes me as the kind of person that it's just not all words. I think he means it.
a lot of energy,
A lot of energy. He really means it.
Mm.
I think Coburg is in good hands with this new council. I'm looking forward to how they oversee the town. I'm really pleased with the results. We've got new people in there and a new mayor, and I guess it's going to have a fresh face. And as I mentioned many times earlier, people were saying maybe it's time for a change.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And I know things will move forward with municipal matters work. We look forward to more of your coverage as things unfold.
Yeah.
Peter, again, the greatest honor to have you at the table to speak from
delighted to be
experience.
here. It's kind of fun.
It is fun.
We're delighted. We're delighted. And so more news will certainly unfold, but those are the big pieces today.
Yes.
Interesting numbers coming through across the board. But we want to thank our team here at Your TV Northumberland, the team being the control room. Andrew, of course, was in Port Hope on the ground, speaking with councillors and watching the energy in our neighbors to the west, rather, and everyone who's been watching. We're delighted you could be with us today. York, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Peter, thank you once again.
Yes.
I've been your host, Mark Johnston, here for Your Vote, Your TV's extensive coverage of the municipal election here in 2022, which now comes to a close. We look forward to bringing you more stories as the new council and the new mayors take charge. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.